March 2010. The city of Huixquilucan sits on the western edge of Mexico City, an affluent area known for luxury apartment complexes, private schools, and wealthy families. Behind the walls of one upscale condominium lived the Gebara family. To outsiders, they appeared to have everything: success, money, status, comfort. The family consisted of businessman Mauricio Gebara, his wife Lisette Farah, and their 2 daughters. The youngest was 4-year-old Paulette Gebara Farah, a quiet child with a gentle smile and striking blonde hair. Paulette had developmental disabilities that affected her speech and motor skills. She required extra care and attention. Despite these challenges, those who knew her described her as affectionate and cheerful. She attended a specialized preschool and relied heavily on routine. Her bedroom was designed specifically to accommodate her needs. It was a place where she felt safe, a place she knew better than anywhere else. No one imagined that this room would soon become one of the most infamous crime scenes in modern Mexican history. On Friday, March 19, 2010, Paulette spent time with her family before traveling with her father and older sister to Valle de Bravo, a popular weekend destination outside Mexico City. Her mother, Lisette, remained behind for part of the weekend before later reuniting with the family. According to the family's later statements, nothing appeared unusual during the trip. Paulette behaved normally. She ate, she played, she rested. There were no signs that anything was wrong. By Sunday evening, March 21st, the family returned to their apartment in Huixquilucan. It had been an ordinary weekend, or at least it seemed that way. That night, Paulette's nanny helped prepare her for bed. She was changed into pink pajamas, placed in her own bed, covered with blankets. The lights were turned off. The apartment grew quiet. No one realized those would be the last confirmed moments Paulette would be seen alive. March 22nd. Around dawn, the household slowly began waking up. The nanny entered Paulette's room expecting to help her get ready for another normal day. Instead, the bed appeared empty. Paulette was gone. At first, no one panicked. Perhaps she had wandered into another room. Maybe she had climbed into someone else's bed. The apartment wasn't especially large. Finding a 4-year-old should have taken only moments. Family members searched every room: bathrooms, closets, balconies, storage spaces, nothing. Her favorite hiding spots, nothing. Every room was checked again, still nothing. Then concern quickly turned into fear. Paulette's disabilities made it unlikely that she could simply leave the apartment by herself. Even reaching the building's exit without assistance would have been extremely difficult. Yet there was no sign of forced entry, no broken windows, no obvious evidence of a struggle. It was as if the little girl had simply vanished. The family contacted authorities, friends arrived, neighbors began asking questions. Soon police officers entered the apartment. The building's security measures immediately complicated the mystery. Investigators wanted to know, if someone had taken Paulette, how had they entered? How had they left? Who had seen them? Security personnel were questioned, building records examined, residents interviewed. The answers created even more confusion. No one reported seeing Paulette leave. No one reported hearing screams. No suspicious visitors had been clearly identified. There appeared to be no obvious path for an abductor, yet Paulette was nowhere to be found. As hours passed, the search expanded beyond the apartment. Police searched nearby streets, parks, construction sites, vacant lots, hospitals. Authorities distributed photographs of the missing 4-year-old. Television stations interrupted programming. Radio broadcasts spread the alert. Mexico quickly became invested in the disappearance. Parents imagined their own children. Volunteers joined search efforts. Investigators considered every possibility. Had Paulette been kidnapped? Had someone inside the home harmed her? Had there been an accident that no one wanted to explain? Each theory seemed possible, yet none fit perfectly. Over the next several days, Paulette's bedroom became the center of the investigation. Police officers entered repeatedly. Crime scene technicians photographed the room. Evidence specialists inspected furniture. Family members moved around inside the apartment. Friends visited. Relatives came and went. Television crews were even allowed inside portions of the residence while the investigation was still active. Images of Paulette's bedroom soon appeared across Mexican television. Millions of viewers studied the room from their living rooms. A neatly made bed, stuffed animals, pink decorations, children's toys. Everything looked ordinary. Nothing seemed out of place, yet hidden somewhere inside that room was the answer everyone desperately wanted. No one knew it. Not the investigators, not the family, not the journalists, not the millions watching from home. As the days passed with no breakthrough, public attention shifted toward Paulette's parents. Television interviews became emotional, sometimes confusing, sometimes contradictory. Every statement was analyzed, every facial expression debated. Mauricio and Lisette appeared separately in several interviews. Viewers noticed apparent inconsistencies in their accounts of the weekend and the morning Paulette disappeared. Some believed the parents were simply exhausted and overwhelmed. Others wondered if they were hiding something. Speculation exploded across newspapers, television talk shows, and online forums without answers from investigators. The public began creating its own. Rumors spread faster than verified facts. Every hour without Paulette deepened the mystery. The disappearance dominated headlines throughout Mexico. Reporters camped outside the apartment complex. News helicopters covered search operations. Experts appeared on television proposing theories. Former investigators debated the evidence. Psychologists analyzed interviews. Everyone seemed convinced they knew what had happened. Yet no one could explain one simple question. How does a 4-year-old disappear from a locked apartment without leaving a trace for nearly a week? That question haunted investigators, and with every passing day, hope of finding Paulette alive slowly began to fade. Still, no one could have imagined where the search was about to lead, because the greatest shock of the entire investigation was waiting inside the very room that had already been searched countless times. By the 4th day of the investigation, Paulette Gebara's disappearance had become one of the biggest news stories in Mexico. Every morning began with new headlines. Every evening ended with televised debates. News anchors repeated the same question. Where is Paulette? Police insisted they were following every possible lead. Specialized investigators from the State of Mexico Attorney General's office joined the case. Canine search teams were brought in. Forensic specialists examined the apartment. Officers interviewed relatives, domestic employees, neighbors, building staff, drivers, and friends of the family. Every hour, the pressure grew. A child had disappeared from what should have been one of the safest places in the city. The public expected answers. Instead, investigators found only more questions. The Gebara family's apartment became the center of an increasingly chaotic investigation. Police officers entered repeatedly. Crime scene photographers documented every room. Fingerprint specialists searched for evidence. Investigators measured windows, inspected doors, and examined locks. Nothing suggested that someone had forced their way inside. The apartment's entrance showed no signs of damage. The windows appeared secure. There was no evidence of a violent struggle. Everything seemed strangely normal. Yet one room continued drawing everyone's attention: Paulette's bedroom. It was small, neatly decorated, filled with toys, stuffed animals, and children's furniture. The pink comforter remained on the bed. Blankets were slightly folded. Pillows rested near the headboard. Investigators searched beneath the bed. They looked inside closets. They checked drawers. Photographs were taken from multiple angles. Evidence markers were placed throughout the room. Still, no one reported finding Paulette. Perhaps one of the most controversial aspects of the investigation happened during these first several days. Despite being the bedroom of a missing child, the room was not completely sealed off. According to statements made during the investigation and footage later broadcast on television, family members and the children's nannies continued entering the room. At times, Paulette's older sister reportedly slept there. Blankets were adjusted, pillows were moved. People walked through the room. Journalists were even allowed inside portions of the apartment while the investigation was still active. Television crews filmed Paulette's bedroom. The images would later become some of the most scrutinized footage in Mexican television history. After Paulette's body was discovered, viewers replayed those recordings repeatedly, searching every frame for clues that had gone unnoticed. Many wondered whether the room had been contaminated long before investigators completed their forensic examination. As public concern intensified, Paulette's parents found themselves under relentless media scrutiny. Mauricio Gebara appeared determined to keep attention focused on finding his daughter. He pleaded for information. He urged anyone with knowledge of Paulette's whereabouts to come forward. Meanwhile, Lisette Farah gave several emotional interviews. Some viewers sympathized with a mother living through every parent's worst nightmare. Others questioned her demeanor. Television commentators analyzed her words. Body language experts were invited onto news programs. Psychologists speculated about stress responses. Ordinary citizens became armchair detectives. Every pause, every glance, every sentence, nothing escaped public examination. Looking back, many experts have criticized this intense focus on behavior, noting that there is no reliable way to determine guilt or innocence based solely on how someone appears during grief. But at the time, speculation spread faster than verified evidence. One of the leading theories was abduction. If Paulette had been kidnapped, investigators needed to determine who could have entered the apartment without attracting attention. They examined security procedures, visitors' records, building surveillance, employee schedules, delivery logs. Neighbors were questioned repeatedly. Security guards described the movements of residents throughout the weekend. Authorities attempted to reconstruct every minute leading up to Paulette's disappearance, but each reconstruction ended the same way. No clear suspect, no eyewitness, no ransom demand, no credible evidence that a stranger had entered the apartment. As each day passed, the kidnapping theory became increasingly difficult to support. With no evidence pointing outside the apartment, investigators naturally began looking inside it. Domestic employees were interviewed multiple times. The family's nannies described Paulette's bedtime routine, who had tucked her in, who had seen her last, who entered the bedroom the following morning. Investigators compared timelines. Minor differences appeared between individual recollections. Some inconsistencies were expected. After all, stressful situations often affect memory. But because the investigation had become so public, every discrepancy was magnified. Soon, rumors began circulating that someone inside the apartment knew more than they were saying. Those rumors would only intensify in the days ahead. Without concrete answers from investigators, speculation exploded. Television programs presented competing narratives. Some claimed Paulette had been abducted by organized criminals. Others suggested a family cover-up. Internet forums filled with amateur investigations. Anonymous posts accused innocent people. Wild conspiracies spread across social media. Each new theory attracted attention. Few were supported by evidence. For investigators, separating fact from rumor became almost as difficult as solving the case itself. Every false lead consumed valuable time. Every public accusation placed additional pressure on the people closest to Paulette. Authorities broadened the investigation far beyond the apartment complex. Search teams combed nearby parks, abandoned buildings, drainage canals, construction sites, wooded areas surrounding Huixquilucan. Volunteers joined police officers. Helicopters surveyed difficult terrain. Hospitals checked unidentified patients. The morgue reviewed unidentified remains. Border authorities received Paulette's information. Missing person alerts continued around the country. Despite these efforts, nothing pointed investigators toward Paulette. It was as though she had vanished without leaving a single trace. Behind closed doors, investigators faced mounting criticism. Each passing day increased the urgency. The Attorney General's office held press conferences. Officials reassured the public that every possibility was being explored. Yet reporters continued asking difficult questions. How could investigators search the apartment so many times without finding anything? Why had the bedroom not remained fully secured? Why had so many people been allowed inside? Those questions would soon become impossible to ignore. 9 days after Paulette was reported missing, the apartment was once again occupied by investigators and family members. It had become a familiar routine. People entered, people left. The bedroom had already been examined countless times. No one expected that day to be different. Then, during the morning of March 31, 2010, everything changed. A strong odor was noticed inside Paulette's bedroom. At first, some believed it might be coming from garbage or another source within the apartment. But as investigators looked more closely toward the bed, they focused on the narrow space between the mattress and the footboard. What they found there stunned everyone. Hidden in that confined space, still wearing the pink pajamas she had been put to bed in, was the body of 4-year-old Paulette Gebara, the child who had seemingly disappeared without a trace, had never left her bedroom. The discovery of Paulette Gebara's body on March 31, 2010, should have brought clarity to a case that had gripped all of Mexico. Instead, it transformed the investigation into one of the country's most controversial criminal cases. Paulette was found wedged in the narrow space between her mattress and the footboard of her bed, partially covered by bedding and still wearing the pink pajamas she had been put to bed in 9 days earlier. The shocking location immediately raised a question that has never completely disappeared. How could investigators, forensic experts, family members, domestic staff, and even television crews have searched the room repeatedly without noticing her body? The official forensic examination concluded that Paulette had most likely accidentally become trapped between the mattress and the bed frame while sleeping. Unable to free herself because of her physical limitations, investigators concluded that she died from mechanical asphyxia and positional compression, essentially suffocating after becoming stuck. Authorities eventually ruled the case an accidental death, stating there was no conclusive evidence of homicide. However, that conclusion did little to quiet public skepticism. Critics questioned whether the body could truly have remained unnoticed for 9 days, especially considering that the bedroom had remained in use during the investigation. Others pointed to inconsistencies in witness statements, the handling of the crime scene, and conflicting information released during the early stages of the investigation. The fact that journalists had filmed inside the apartment while the search was ongoing only intensified public disbelief. Although numerous alternative theories emerged, including allegations of a cover-up or deliberate concealment, none have ever been supported by sufficient evidence to overturn the official findings. Despite years of public debate, no court has established that Paulette was murdered, and no one has ever been criminally convicted in connection with her death. Today, the case remains remembered not because of a proven conspiracy, but because it exposed serious concerns about investigative procedures, crime scene preservation, media influence, and the dangers of speculation during high-profile criminal investigations. More than a decade later, the death of Paulette Gebara continues to fascinate investigators, journalists, and true crime audiences around the world. The image of a missing child being discovered in the very room that had been searched countless times remains almost impossible to comprehend. Whether viewed as a tragic accident compounded by investigative failures, or as a case that still leaves lingering questions, Paulette's story stands as a reminder of how crucial meticulous forensic work and proper crime scene management are in every investigation. While many mysteries continue to fuel debate, one fact is beyond dispute. A 4-year-old girl lost her life, and her family and an entire nation were left searching for answers that, for many people, never felt entirely complete. Sometimes the most haunting mysteries are not those with no answers, but those where the official answer still leaves people asking how. Kindly turn your click to kindness by subscribing, like, and comment. Thank you for watching. If you found this documentary informative, consider subscribing for more carefully researched true crime stories based on verified facts, court records, and official investigations. Until next time, stay informed, stay vigilant, and remember that the most unsettling mysteries are often the ones hidden in plain sight.